Lawrence up against Wine. Di Domenico with a touch. Platten with the first kick for Hawthorn in 91, and Dunstall's got it. And Ian Robertson, he'll smile it all out if he kicks this.
Yes, terrific play there by Platten, Bernie, to get the ball in front of the goals, which is where it's so critical to give the full forward a better chance of kicking it.
Exactly, Ian, and that's the way Jason Dunstall appreciates the ball being delivered quickly and one out.
Drop punt, he's missed it. And Darren Jarman was the player who got the first handball across for Hawthorn earlier on, number 11, the prize recruit. Umpires are being mic'd in the Foster's Cup series. Kennedy with a short one, and now Baxter from the back pocket.
Baxter kicks it long towards centre wing, but John Kennedy has taken a good mark. Handball on to Pritchard, a damaging player as Darren Pritchard. Kicks it into the forward pocket, high. Kennedy can't control it. He's backed up beautifully by Maloney. Confident hand pass. Gets it out wide to Colin-Uke, over to Royal. Royal to Baxter. Baxter's brilliantly caught by Jarman. Hawthorn go forward. Allen and Condon combine. Condon's kick to the front of the goal square. Kennedy, punch away. Under pressure now is Reynolds. He kicks the ball towards the boundary line. Very difficult, but a good pick-up, and cleared away by the Footscray defender Maloney. Goes back towards the half-back flank position. Cullen receives the free kick. A holding decision against Paul Deere. Cullen, I believe, should be in this Footscray side week in, week out. A very talented young player. Kicks it up towards Wigney. Wigney fighting hard. Can't control the football. Greg Deere helps it over the boundary line. There's a free kick going to the big fellow for Hawthorn, and he'll take it at half-back.
Familiar left foot. Centre wing. Paul Deere was the flyer. Baxter. Jenke pretty easily against Cullen there. Height advantage. Had Collins running. Decides to go wide. Will it sit for Ayres? Pritchard. Got rid of Charles. Threw it away. Ayres. Conan the Barbarian. He tried to crash through about 3 of them there. Clever play to Kennedy. Still Kennedy. He's got some time. Little left footer. Morrissey, you can kick him from anywhere. Brereton, no free kick, thrown in the pocket.
Excellent pressure there applied by the new player for Footscray, Paul Gow. He really threw everything at Dermott when he was going back for that mark.
4 by 20-minute quarters. Time on as the ball goes over the boundary or as a goal or behind scored. So 4 by 20, but there'll be plenty of time on. And if it's a tied match, it's 2 by 5 minutes either way, plus time on in that 5 minutes. They're the special rules for the Foster's Cup. Platten from 50 metres.
Royal, the Footscray player, clearing it from the back pocket. Under pressure, Johnny Platten now from 50 metres. Tries the torpedo punt kick. It doesn't quite work. Gow over the top. Kennedy, confident. Baxter. Play on will be called. Baxter's kick to half-back is pretty good. And the mark is taken there by Cullen. So the second kick, there's a bit of a blue going on behind play between Gow and Brereton. Back towards centre wing. Wigney gets the hand pass away. It's a stray. Cameron beaten for it by Mew. Collins, a real dasher, Andrew Collins. Pritchard. Now Ayres. Composed. Long drop punt kick to centre half forward. 2 Footscray players. Big Wine. Gets the hand pass back. Now Footscray combining at centre half back will get it clear. Baxter's hand pass a little too high for Atkins. In comes Platten. He gets it off to Greg Deere. Deere lumbering. Kick is smothered. Pritchard there for his 3rd kick. Up high towards centre half forward. Oh, nearly a mark to Allen. Hall is there. Di Domenico. Strong. Drop punt kick towards full forward. 1-on-1. Dunstall nearly got it. Kennedy over the top. Dunstall, great recovery. Morrissey's left foot snap is a goal.
7-0. Morrissey with that left footer. Deere versus Wine. Wine wins that one. Royal almost off the ground. Jarman chips in for Hawthorn. To half forward. Deere. With him was Stanfield. Cullen. Jenke. Throw in centre wing. Interchange for Hawthorn. 22 players. Schwabby there with Hudson and Lawrence. Condon, throw in. Reynolds, missed by Maloney. Deer. Royal. Di Domenico off the ground.
And we should see a lot more of that, Bruce.
Yep.
I think indiscriminate kicking like that, Bernie.
Well, Brian Royal had the courage to put his hands over the ball, and Di Domenico just having an indiscriminate kick off the ground.
Royals kick towards the position between centre and centre-half forward for Footscray, but coming clear is Pritchard. Kick towards centre-half forward. Nearly a Hawthorn mark to Allen. Getting clear, Stanfield. He's well tackled, brilliantly tackled by Paul Deer. Maloney's a chance. A kick off the ground. Goes back towards centre-half back. The chipping in is Platten. He's had about 4 possessions. The kick is good, and Brereton takes a strong mark over Stephen Wallace. So what there, Bernie, a bit of height advantage and a little bit of strength in favour of Dermot Brereton.
And experience there, Dermot just dropping back. Paul Gow had been involved in the play further up the ground. He didn't notice Dermot slip back, and consequently he was there to take that mark virtually alone.
So Dermot Brereton will kick from about 35 metres out. Maybe a little closer. And the angle will be his greatest hurdle. Brereton, drop punt kick. And he just misses to the right-hand side. So the Hawks post their second behind. They're 1-2. 8 points, leading Footscray yet to score. The Bulldogs have had a fair bit of the footy, just can't quite seem to do very much with it.
Seem to have trouble getting it past half forward. Kennedy to half back. Reynolds taps it on. Pritchard another tap to Condon from 45 metres. Strong looking kick. Good kick, that one.
And a very damaging player is Darren Pritchard, who set that up for Condon. Platten gets clear of the centre. The kick up towards full forward. What great courage by Rick Kennedy. Gets the hand pass away to Maloney. And Maloney's long kick back towards the centre, but a good mark taken by Chris Mew.
That's right, Bruce. That's where they're falling down around that half-forward line. There's just too much pressure. They can't get the ball up there quickly at the moment.
Mew's kick wide to half-forward on the right-hand side. Ben Allen. The kick across his body is not bad to centre-half forward. Gow gets it away to Reynolds. Footscray players under pressure all over the field. The mark has been taken by Royal. Looking to get away. Jarman minding the mark. Goes it again and does it very well. The smother on Reynolds' kick. Reynolds under pressure. The left foot kick towards centre wing. No mark taken. Footscray have the players when the ball hits the ground. It's Cullen. A neat hand pass to Kellett. Kellett's kick is smothered. Towards centre-half forward. Collins with strength. Can't quite get clear. Kellett again for Footscray. A blind kick towards full forward. The Bulldogs are a chance. Georgiadis into an open goal, and he puts it through for the Bulldogs first.
Well, that's what they need up on that forward line. Some movement around the forward line. Wigney is contesting well, but the ball just coming up very slowly. And he has a ruckman, his own opponent. 3 or 4 players he has to take the mark against. Valentine contesting that mark against Langford. And Georgiadis, forever the opportunist, just chipping in there and kicking a very handy goal for Footscray.
14-6. Deer up against Wine. Platten and Brereton runs into him. Quick kick by Maloney. Oh, good mark. Wonderful mark by Mew. Back from retirement, middle of last year. Deer to centre half forward. Nearly a one-hander Paul Deer. Ben Allen. Morrissey. Still Morrissey. Little one good to Brereton. Again getting away from Gow for the second time.
There's just experience coming in there, Bruce. Paul Gow's getting caught up watching the flight of the ball. And Dermot probably cheating a little bit. Sneaking back there, waiting for the easy kick.
40 metres out.
2 metres, Paul.
Drop punt. Missed it again.
Oh, clear.
2-3 to a goal.
I think most of the clubs get the replay of these games, Bernie. I don't know whether Dermot would be very impressed with that comment about... Well, I understand what you're talking about.
Well, usually the centre-half forward's role is to lead up the ground, but Dermot just sneaking back there. He's doing the right thing at the moment, but Gow just not aware of what his plan is.
Well, one of the all-time great full forwards, Peter Hudson, was an expert in that, and he must have kicked innumerable goals running into an unmarked goal square. The throw-in is outside the 45-metre line. Paul Deere gets it over to Hall. Hall's kick off the side of his boot. Up high, Di Domenico. Couldn't control it. This guy I'm wrapped in, Kellett, runs away. Bit more experience. He'll be a great league footballer. And a great mark taken back there at centre wing by Collinuk with a different hairstyle. The short pass, and Kellett's got it again. So good running.
Yes, Robbo, he can play too, Steve Collinuk. He could take the place of McGuinness quite easily.
And he's got it again. So the youngsters, Kellett and Collinuk, the two Ks for the Bulldogs, combining. Short pass is all right, and the mark has been taken by Royal right on 50 metres. Play on. He's going to be forced to kick quickly, and accordingly it's a poor one. Ayres, strong in defence, kicks it off the ground. Opportunity for Cameron. Handball goes to Georgiadis. Can he pop his second one through? A long kick by Georgiadis is just offline and through from behind to the Bulldogs. So it took them a while to settle down, Bernie, but they're just starting to get their act together a little bit.
They're looking like it now. They're very slow off the mark, as you said, Robbo, but they're starting to move the ball around the centre of the ground a lot better and giving the forwards some sort of chance.
All the Hawks in a huddle at centre half back. Now they take off for Langford. Looks for Jenke, the runner. Di Domenico. And again, Kellett in the action there against the Big Dipper. Centre wing. It's one of a number of Hawks who was injured last year, Di Domenico, at a vital time. Wine, Platten has been very good. So's Kellett. As Ian Robertson mentioned, he kicked the centre half forwards, a good one. Charles, Atkins, got a lot of ability. Ballantyne the target. It was a good kick. Royal. And he ran out of room in the end. 2-3 to 1-2. So good 5 minutes here for Footscray.
Well, when you consider, Bruce, they've got about 8 senior players out of their side from last season. There's Coleman, Eccleston, Foster, Grant, Hawkins, Hogg, Liberatore and Terry Wallace probably would have been in their top side.
It was a great mark by Ballantyne just a moment or so ago. Kick in by Langford finds Platten. Platten's kick to centre wing. Morrissey's read it a little better. Maloney leaves his man, which he had to do, and gives Allen the chance to create the loose man. Up to half forward, and a good mark is taken by Paul Deere. He gets the hand pass back to Allen, who's running nicely. Allen's kick towards full forward, and Dunstall somehow slipped away from Rick Kennedy. I don't know whether he started the game with that bandage.
Yes, he did,
on
Robbo.
his leg.
He did. And he was in some sort of doubt for this match. He had a boil on the inside of his thigh, which he had lanced off.
So Dunstall shooting from only 20 metres out, slide angle, and he makes no mistake.
3-3-1-2, 21 to 8. Dunstall with his first goal for 91. Darren Jarman from the centre with a high one. Paul Deere and Stanfield set themselves. Platten looks for a free kick, not that time. Quick kick by Reynolds. Di Domenico should take it, and he does it centre wing.
Di Domenico swings around onto the right foot quickly and kicks it into the pocket. Mark taken by Condon. Short, Brereton. Well, one gets the impression, I know it's pretty early, but maybe a boy on a man's errand, young Gow. He's learning quickly.
Well, it might be a little bit early
to all about.
Yeah, it might be a little bit early to say that, Robbo, because they do deliver the ball so well, the Hawthorn players. It makes it very hard for the defenders.
Well, Alan Joyce told me before the game that this man is very, very fit. So the kick, it's close. It could be there. No, it's not. It just misses to the right. So Brereton registers his third behind. And the Hawks 3-4 lead the Bulldogs 1-2.
And giving Gow a bit of treatment, sorting him out early.
Kennedy short to Wallace, acting captain tonight. Hawkins not playing, expected to be captain, and Wallace's kick. Well, Kellett missed that one. Paul and Reynolds. Michael Tuck, who's had an Achilles problem in the off-season, the record breaker, and he'll go again this year. Amazing. I think he turns 38 this year.
Yes, he had an op before Christmas, Bruce, which is taking a little time to get over.
Hard ball this for Reynolds. It did well because Brereton was bearing down on him. Brereton a bit unlucky there, not to get a free kick, and then he went and looked for somebody and I think found him in wind, and now he's all okay.
Well, Steve Collingwood gave a little bit of a shriek. He's about up to his shoulder too, Steve, but he certainly knows how to hand out a bit of treatment. Here he comes now, Colin. He'll get a real go at Brereton.
Yes, I think Dermot wasn't too sure who it was, but he certainly got up in a hurry. Jarman's kick didn't go far. Brereton off the ground. Condon, good handball. Pritchard, they normally eat these. Drop punt straight through. 4-4 to 1-2.
Yes, the running players are just so good, those Pritchard, Condon. They combine so very well. Morrissey. And this is where Footscray will have the trouble, I think. Good play by Cameron, putting his body in there against Brereton. It had just spilled out and finished off beautifully there by Pritchard.
And the player that probably is just a little bit quiet for Footscray is Leon Cameron, who was playing on Pritchard out on that outer wing. Wind doing the ruck work for the Bulldogs up against Greg Deere. Greg Deere inconclusively gets the knockout. Ben Allen has the ball on centre wing. He's looking to play on, but the umpire now calling him back to come over, and still, as you can distinctively hear, the umpire not happy and asking the Hawthorn player to come back and kick over the man on the mark.
Come back.
Now the Footscray player correctly in his position, so Allen will be called to play on now. His kick towards centre half forward. No mark taken. It clean bowls all players. Callett's under pressure. He does pretty well to nearly trap the football. Stanfield under pressure, gets his left foot to it. Wide towards centre wing. Look at the ball handling of Pritchard. Magnificent stuff by Darren Pritchard. The goal of the night so far.
34 to 8. Pritchard with 2 goals, 6 kicks and 3 handballs. Has been the big winner in this first term.
No.
Just over 7 minutes remaining. It's Justin Charles. Foster looking on. Was ruled unfit tonight, along with Hawkins and a number of other players. I think Bernie mentioned about 8 that would be in the team. Collinuck will get a free kick against Condon.
I like his style, Bruce, Steve Collinuck. I think
Right down the mark.
they've lost a good player in McGuinness, but this fellow could take over from him.
He's played short tonight. He wanted Atkins again there. Jarman, Allen. Well smothered by Cullen. He's on his natural side. Good long kick. Ayres did very well with the hip and shoulder, but so did the big boy against him. Wigney not paid. Cullen tucked away in the pocket. Drop punt's a good one. An excellent kick.
Yes, he finishes off very well, Cullen. He kicked some enormous goals in the seconds finals last year. And Wigney almost could have been paid that mark. He had the hand back there. I think he thought it was a mark. Umpire didn't see it that way, but Cullen on the wrong side for a left footer, threaded it right through the middle. Cameron's off the ground, incidentally, Bruce.
Actually, if there's any criticism there, Wigney electing to handball to the boundary side instead of maybe someone getting onto the other side to make the angle a bit better. But they still got the goal, the Bulldogs. Atkins gets the ball out of the centre, up towards half forward. Collins running away from Royal, and Collins just gets his foot to the ball. A scrambling kick towards centre wing. Bulldogs a chance. Callett can't get clear. Somehow gets the handball out, but Platten traps it magnificently. He knew the numbers were there against him, and all he wanted to do was hold it in, Johnny Platten. And what a great sight it is for Hawthorn supporters to see a fit John Platten in the number 44 jumper. There he is.
Matthew Mansfield has replaced, or is it Mark Hunter? I think it's Mansfield's replaced Leon Cameron.
Allen around the neck will take the free kick between centre wing and half forward for Hawthorn.
He's had a few touches. Centre half forward. Brereton again the target. Atkins caught going the wrong way. Jarman, who loves kicking these. Look at that one. Bang!
So great goal there by Darren Jarman would do his confidence no harm whatsoever. Back in the centre. Wind. Deere over the top. Gets an effective hit out. Wallace is caught, but he gets the handball away. Callett, you can't do that. Out goes Reynolds. Ineffective. Charles. Hand pass goes wide. Baxter, who was prominent early but was being quiet for 10 minutes or so, up towards half forward. Strong play by young Ballantyne. He couldn't take the mark. Ball comes back towards Langford. He's still there struggling hard. And at centre half forward for Footscray, the umpire quickly on the scene. Players just getting a little testy there. Ballantyne and Langford. Charles in there to help his young teammate out, but the umpire will bounce at centre-half forward for the Bulldogs. Footscray badly need a goal. It's Phil Cracker in the crowd. One wonders what's going to happen with his football future. Jarman comes away from centre-half back, kicks towards centre-half forward. Brereton contests. Maloney at the back will clear for Footscray. Kick across his body, goes wide into open spaces. Who's first there? Pritchard. A lovely little left foot kick is a little too high. Stanfield under pressure, all he can do is knock the ball over for a boundary throw-in. So Footscray just a little outclassed at this stage of the game. Hawthorn finishing everything off. They have 7-4 on the board. Footscray are 2-2.
10 touches for Pritchard, 7 kicks, 3 handballs, couple of goals. Stanfield round his body. Platten, who's had, this is kick number 6 for Platten. So he and Pritchard have been dominant. Not a good one. Baxter. To centre wing. Deer. Wigney went very early, no free kick. Mew. Holding the ball. Footscray free kick from the centre wing.
Well, fair enough, he had plenty of time. Now Footscray play on quickly. And the umpire again. Is that a little technical, Bernie, do you think?
I believe so, Robert. I don't know why he'd be calling him back.
Well, it wasn't this player that took the free kick. It was one of the other Footscray players that got the handball.
Well, maybe, it was Mansfield who had the free kick.
And now it's going back to that player. And eventually he's allowed to play on and kick the ball towards half forward. And a great mark taken by Wigney.
He's a good player, Robert.
Been impressed with his pre-season work.
Yes, he's very fit. And he can take a mark, moves around well for a forward.
Wallace to Baxter. Footscray combining to get the ball forward. And a good mark taken by Valentine under some heavy pressure by the Hawthorn fullback Chris Langford. Now, if Footscray can get players like Chris Grant back, who's had a bad setback to his preparation.
Yes, well, he has. He's had glandular fever, and he's lost about 10 kilos. He just continued training this week, actually, Chris Grant.
Well, Valentine, another good-looking young player. The high kick is astray, and it's out of bounds in the opposite forward pocket for the Bulldogs. On the full, the free kick to be taken by Mew.
One of the veterans on this back line for Hawthorn, Di Domenico. Kellett against him, Ayres. Jarman was looking for Hall. Reynolds. Stanfield from centre wing to centre half forward. Good take by Georgiadis. He's a nice kick, and that's a good one to Valentine. Well, they had some penetration there. They've been playing very short offset movements, but that time with a bit of penetration.
That was beautifully trapped by Georgiadis in the centre of the ground.
You know what I think? I think it's the Hawthorn forwards that work overtime, the forwards and the centre line players that put so much pressure on the Footscray defenders they can't get it out.
So Valentine tucked away in the pocket, drop punt, nice looking kick, goal. Well, it's the one they needed, Bernie. It's 3-2 to 6-4.
Yes, Johnny Valentine, a poor kick from that first mark. He took a very strong chest mark against Chris Langford over the other side of the ground. There's Georgiadis. Look at this trap. Magnificent by Georgiadis. And on that left foot, his natural kicking foot, Valentine, who leads very well, had a little bit of space there. And he could be one of the best kicks in the game, this boy, Valentine. Magnificent kick for goal.
So back in the centre, there's about 1.5 minutes left in this first quarter. Footscray may get out. No, Baxter couldn't get his foot to the ball. Jarman can. He kicks it high towards centre half forward. Hawthorn mark. Allen in front of Maloney. But I don't think Terry Wheeler would be too happy with that. Close to quarter time. Ben Allen goes for the short pass. Good lead. And a great kick by Allen. Straight onto the chest of Jason Dunstall. Hawthorn's coaching staff, Alan Joyce, John Hook, and the runner, George Stone. Dunstall, who missed one early, and then popped his second shot straight through the centre, and I think he's missed again. And he wouldn't be too happy with that, Jason Dunstall. He's usually a very, very reliable kick for goal, particularly when the percentages are in his favour, as they were on that occasion. Now, Rick Kennedy will kick the ball back into play. just seconds left in this first term. Kennedy, who's had his work cut out in this first term, playing on Jason Dunstall. A long kick outside the 45-metre area. Morrissey can't flick the ball out. He does. Pritchard, now the umpire calls for a ball up. Well, a little difficult to follow, seeing that the ball did eventually get into the clear. So a bounce just outside 40 metres. Wind, Deer over the top, gets the tap out again. He seems to be winning in the ruck contest. There's the scoreboard in the background indicating the Hawks have a lead of 21 points. 41 plays 20, close to quarter time.
Inside the last half minute, Wind and Deer. Atkins backs the half, volleys it, doesn't take it with him though. Two Hawthorn players converge on him. And Hall was one of them. And the siren about to go. So 6-5 to 3-2. That'll be the quarter time score. And at quarter time, with Maloney and Allen not too happy with one another, Brereton coming in, and everything will sort itself out. At quarter time, Hawthorn leads 41 to 20, 6-5 to 3-2. Quarter time, Footscray 3-2-20, Hawthorn 6-5, 41, 21 points to Hawthorn. And with very big news back in the Channel 7 studios, it's a very warm welcome to Scott Palmer. What's happening, Scotty?
Good evening, Bruce. Yes, it is a shock. My sources claim that the Cats, that's Geelong, will announce tomorrow that their champion, Gary Ablett, has decided to retire. No amount of persuasion by the Cats committee on Monday night could get Gary to change his mind. It's not money, but the pressures that go with football. The big announcement will be made tomorrow, but we'll be back with punchlines at half-time.
Well, huge news there. Michael Robertson, Don Scott, what's happened at quarter time here?
A very controlled Hawthorn camp. Get it out of the middle, keep maintaining it out of the middle, run off the back line. It was interesting, he brought up the huddle. They form one high huddle at centre-half back and then another one at centre-half forward. They must use that at all times.
Well, Terry Wheeler came down very early from the coach's box and spoke to Leon Cameron on the bench. He was playing on Darren Pritchard. He also spoke to Stuart Whitney and Justin Charles, asking for more movement up on the forward line. The players very vocal. They reckon if they run, they can match it with Hawthorn.
Don and Michael Roberts, thanks very much for that. Second term about to get underway. Footscray to the right of screen, trailing 20 to 41. Pritchard, Jarman, Platten and Allen, the big kick getters for Hawthorn in the first term. Wine wins that one. Tapped on by Mansfield. Jenke over the top. De Pierre Domenico on the bottom. Jarman, that's his 8th kick, and gets some distance off one leg, goes about 50 metres. Deer, Allen, Maloney tries to give him a hip and shoulder, and you can hear the umpire, who's Mike, saying right in his back, and here's Paul Deer from about 45 metres. One of the few Hawks who didn't get his hands on the footy much in the first term. Was one of their big winners last year. Left foot high drop punt, and that's a behind. So the Hawks up to 6-6, and they've got a good lead over Footscray 3-2.
Rick Kennedy now to bring the ball back into play. Bulldog defenders just a little enthusiastic there, giving that free kick away to Paul Deer. The kick in goes to half-back. Allen, Platten, Jarman, cutting Footscray apart around the centre. There's a free kick being picked out of it, and it's going to Footscray, and the umpire, I think, indicating there that it may be against Hawthorn for holding the ball. Mansfield's kick towards the centre wing position. Morrissey, handball over the top. Jarman looks very, very talented. Left foot kick to centre-half forward. No mark taken. Gow, a chance. He collects the ball nicely. Left foot kick towards the half-back position is not controlled all that well, and it goes over on the full. So free kick to be taken for Hawthorn out there by Jenke. Jenke's short pass, nearly taken by Hall, who was quiet in the first quarter, and a bit disappointed. There's the Hawthorn bench, Peter Schwab, Stephen Lawrence and Paul Hudson. Wind doing the ruck work. Had a bit of a chat there to Terry Wheeler at quarter time. So obviously Terry Wheeler a little concerned with his number one ruckman Perhaps not getting the ball clear of the packs, Bernie, do you think?
Probably not doing enough around the ground either, Ian. For a big bloke, Scotty Wine, about 6'6", he's not taking many marks above his head.
He's got his hands on that, Bernie. Royal from half-back wants Charles outnumbered, but a spectacular mark.
Brilliant mark there by Charles.
Great left-handed mark. Ballantyne the lead at centre-half forward. Langford, they ran one another underneath it. Collins, Langford, Mew. In trouble, caught holding the ball.
Good tackle by Brian Royal.
Brian Royal is very fit. He's had an injury-free pre-season.
Wigney the
very
target.
keen.
Went very early and gives a free kick away to Collins. Ayres short. They love to create this loose man. Just chips it to Condon, who will have Platten running for him if he wants him. Now to Platten. Paul Deere working for him, and Ben Allen. To half-forward Hall. Reynolds, Maloney with Allen. And it'll be a throw-in at half-forward with the Hawks in attack.
Actually, if Tony Hall has been quiet, I suppose you've got to give a bit of credit to young Reynolds, who's a rugged customer, but doing pretty well to concentrate, playing at half-back on Tony Hall. Ruck contest. Coming away with it is Pritchard. Pritchard's kick across his body is pretty good. Up towards half-forward, Gow over the top. He could have nearly been penalised. Coming away, Stephen Wallace, a high drop punt kick back towards the wing. A punch from behind. Now Hawthorn with the numbers when the ball hits the ground. Condon's kick across his body. Stephen Wallace gathers it nicely. Short kick in towards centre-half forwards, a little too high. Ayres, good punch. Mew collects it. Kicks it long, high towards centre-half forward. Punched away by Reynolds. Mansfield. Now Reynolds again. Good recovery by the youngster. Atkins creative, but he put his teammate Reynolds under pressure. Stephen Wallace, good work. Reynolds, good work. But Footscray always under pressure. The kick goes towards the centre. Jenkins hurt. Colin tough. Georgiadis, neat handball. Cullen into an open goal. Drop punt kick. He's stopped it.
The Bulldogs within 16 points after Colin paved the way for Cullen. Royal, Atkins is acting captain tonight. What a wonderful player he's been over the years. Pritchard, who's having a ball tonight, and so's Platten. Short. Jarman one hand. Not this time. Darren Jarman, the prize recruit from North Adelaide. Brother Andrew will be playing for the Adelaide Crows against Geelong next Wednesday. And Deere and Wine. Atkins, good hands. Royal. Wallace. They're setting it up. Colin has explosive pace. Little short one, just chips it. Georgiadis, it was always going to be a hard one for him. Langford kept his eye on the footy and ran right through him. Pritchard. Kellett. Colin round his body, just hoping that time, and he finds Charles.
Still Georgiadis in trouble behind the where young Charles has taken his mark, Bruce.
And it was dangerous play that from Colin Yook, the short pass. Georgiadis was running into trouble all the way, and gee, I wouldn't want to be running into Chris Langford.
Yeah.
No, well, he had the momentum right up, didn't he? And it was a poor kick by Colin Yook.
It's just a little bit of inexperience, I guess, that Hawthorn know where to kick the footy. The Bulldogs just making a few slight errors.
So Charles from 45 metres. Drop punt, misses. Hudson about to come on for Hawthorn. Paul Hudson. It's a 6-6 to 4-3. Played for Tasmania last year in that famous State of Origin win. Here's Ayres.
Gary Ayres waiting until the last second. And still Hawthorn are able to get someone clear on their own. It's Jenke. But that knock just may have taken that little bit out of him. Georgiadis can't get his foot to the ball. Kennedy and Jenke combine. Jenke, this time composed. Mew, over the top. Deere, nearly caught, but breaks clear. And left foot punt kick towards centre-half forward. Good play, Mansfield. Ball handling by Baxter. Free kick against Paul Deere. Too high on the Footscray player. Umpire clearly indicating what that free kick was given for. Baxter's kick towards centre-half forward. Punched away. Condon underneath it. Bulldogs striving hard. Now Wigney can't break clear, dispossessed. Platten, constructive, gets it back to Jenke. And Jenke's left foot kick is a beauty. He finds Morrissey on centre wing unattended. Morrissey around onto the right foot, then hooks it deeper into the half-forward pocket where Paul Deere valiantly tries to gather the ball, but all to no avail. And we'll have a boundary throw in about 50 metres around from the Hawthorn goal.
Haven't kicked a goal in this term, the Hawks. Kicked 6 in the first. Wind in the front spot, Royal. Maloney. Charles the target. Deere at the back. Kennedy. Deere. Mew. High left footer. Wine comes in late and takes the mark. So he has lifted a bit. He's been getting quite a bit around the centre. He didn't do well there. Ran into Baxter. Morrissey was able to get it. Ball went to ground. Platten will do the mopping up. Quick give to Allen. Allen's very quick kick to half forward. Dunstall gets around Kennedy. Kennedy does well. He hangs on to him.
Yeah, free kick, Bruce. With Kennedy grabbed his arm. Umpire right onto that one.
Done the good work, hadn't he? He really should have just let him go. The ball was going to go out of bounds.
There's Jason Dunstall. Heaps of pace getting around Rick Kennedy initially, and then Rick Kennedy just grabbing him and bringing him down by that right arm.
He's kicked 1-2, Dunstall. He's tucked away in the pocket. He's missed a couple of relatively easy shots for him, and he's missed that one badly, and it's just snuck in from behind. So 1-3 for Dunstall. Brereton's kicked 3 points, so 2 of their very straight kicks have been astray, and it's 6-7 to 4-3. Schwabby, Peter Schwab getting ready to come on.
And a grand veteran is Peter Schwab for this Hawthorn Football Club. Played in quite a number of finals campaigns for the brown and gold. Rick Kennedy kicks it into the outer side. Making good position as Mansfield. Looks a promising type. Left foot kick by that player. Gathers a lot of distance. Cullen in the back. Very, very easy to pick that one. And undisciplined football there, I would suggest. Firstly by Cullen, and now by the Footscray player where the football is it Charles?
Justin Charles, yes.
And a 50-metre penalty. It's going to come way up inside the 50-metre line, and Hawthorn will have a chance here to kick a goal. Jenke.
Within range, Robbo. He's only kicking from about 40 metres out, 45 at the most.
Still only 24 years of age, Ray Jenke, a state representative. They have also been selected in an All-Australian team. I think Ray Jenke's kick, drop punt kick into the pocket. Play on, all clear. It's gone through from behind. So Hawthorn proceed to 6-8 and Footscray are 4-3. So the difference there is 17 points with just under 12 minutes left in the second quarter.
Mansfield from Kennedy. We saw Schwab about to come on a moment ago. Hall's gone off for Hudson. So they've made one change. Charles, Wallace, Georgiadis. Long left footer, Valentine. Cullen tried to kick it on the way through. Atkins, will it sit? It does. He's usually clever. That's okay. Wigney. He's got Collinuk in the pocket. Still Collinuk. Too late. 50 metres though. And he'll walk up and kick a goal.
Well, Collins realised that Collinuk was back there by himself, and he held Wigney up very well, but just crept over the mark.
Well, he was playing the percentages and could see with peripheral vision where Collinuk was, but Wigney's just going to step up and bang it right through and put them within 2 goals.
Oh, Bruce, it wouldn't have mattered.
To the umpire too, Bernie, for picking that up and giving the 50 metres.
Well, it was a goal either way. If he had popped it over the top, Collinuk was only about 15 metres out.
So Hawthorn 11 points in front of Footscray. A very entertaining game here at Waverley. Wind doing a lot better. Jenke, Platten caught with a football. Good pressure, Footscray. Charles gets his foot to the ball. Kicks it wide. Tallett's an opportunity. He gathers the bouncing ball nicely. The short pass is a beauty. And right under the chest of Valentine and Gary Ayres. You were lucky you just pulled that back a little bit. Valentine's kick towards full forward. Footscray mark here and make it interesting. There's no such thing. Kick off the ground. Back towards centre half back. No mark taken by Mansfield. Collinuk, was he held?
Throwing the ball.
Doing the holding, throwing the ball, says the umpire. and the free kick will go to Collins.
Looks for Morrissey, cross ground. Centre wing. Allen went to ground. Maloney over the top. Wallace has to sit and wait. Maloney did well there to Baxter. Was he out? No, play on, advantage call. It was a free kick to Footscray. Now it's going to come back. And he's in a bit of strife here, Maloney. Condon late with the hip and shoulder.
Very high too, Bruce. He leapt off the ground there when he hit him with the hip and shoulder.
So Georgiadis, who himself copped a tough one from Langford, but a very fair one about 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes remaining, and Footscray keep hanging on here. Charles, good strong mark in front of Deere, and suddenly they're on top here. They've got players running left, right and centre. Cullen got caught out. Jenke, he'll sit and wait. Cullen just should sweat on him here. Now Collins gets away. Left foot, Schwab, Jarman to Platten. Drop punt kick towards Hudson. Reynolds, who's done a spectacular job on Hall earlier on and got rid of him. And here's Lawrence getting ready to come on.
Been a good performance so far by Footscray to fight their way back into this match. This second quarter, they've been very impressive. About 8 senior players out.
They have. The youngsters have done very well. Young players like this ruckman wind, and he gets a very effective tap out here, but Schwab's on the end of it, and Schwab just gets his foot to the ball, kicks it around his body. No mark taken there. Baxter, Morrissey, and backing back John Kennedy. It goes over for a boundary throw in about 65, 70 metres around from the Hawthorn goal.
It just shows, Robbo, when some of these young blokes do get a chance what they can do, like Mansfield. He probably wouldn't have been playing tonight had the senior players been available. There's some very good players just playing in the reserves. There's Mansfield again.
Tries to get the ball out to Wine. Wine flips it over. And Cullen, who just a few minutes ago did a good chase on Platten, or was it Collins? I just can't quite remember, but just grabbed the guy by the jumper, and those small things really count. Just puts the guy off a little bit, and his kick was ineffective further down the field. Schwab tries to get the ball out. Reynolds there, so is Atkins. Now Wine, handball, Cullen, skill, Colin left foot kick by that player. Up towards half forward, no mark, but Footscray have got the numbers when the ball hits the ground. Atkins swings around onto the right foot, kicks it towards full forward. No mark taken. Ayres is under pressure from Wigney. Good play by the Footscray player. Now Deere under pressure. Can Hawthorn get it out of their full back line? Ayres has a chance right on the boundary line. He swings it around with the right foot. Back in towards the centre. Still Footscray players applying pressure, which is good stuff. Atkins across to Wallace. Wallace's kick is okay. And the mark is taken by Wigney, who somehow is 15 to 20 metres in the clear. Wigney is within 40 metres of goal, so a great chance to pull the Bulldogs up to within 5 points of Hawthorn when the Hawks led by 21 points at quarter time. Is he back in Bernie?
He usually kicks very well for goal too, Stuart Wigney.
So he just runs a little close to the man on the mark, and it slews off to the right and through for a behind. Well, we've said it before, you try to predict a goal kicker and they let you down, Bruce.
Hard to back a winner at any time, Robbo.
My word.
5-4-6-8. Langford to bring it in. This Huddle again at centre half back for Hawthorn. Now they go everywhere. Looks for Jenke. He's been a focal point in these. He's one of their best runners, and he can run to the space. He's had 2 bounces. Chips one to Kennedy. It looks like he might be playing on the forward line. Notice how deep Brereton's played in this term. No boot for Kennedy. He hasn't had a touch yet, Brereton, in this quarter. He's really played as a twin full forward with Dunstall. Just hasn't got into the game at all after a very good start. So Wind and Deere. Morrissey just hands it off to Kennedy, who doesn't make a lot of errors with his hands, but he did that time.
I think that's probably a legacy of the early in the season.
Very annoyed with himself there, John Kennedy. Had he been able to gain possession there cleanly, he was into the forward line.
I give credit for Brereton missing out, Bruce, to Footscray's play up the field. Their determination has been enormous, and they've just put pressure on the Hawthorn players right from the full back line up to the full forward line. Now Stanfield's kicking towards the centre, nearly a mark to Atkins. Georgiadis. Atkins got the handball away. Georgiadis runs into trouble, goes back to Atkins. Atkins with little space gets an effective kick away, but Pritchard takes the mark at centre-half back. Pritchard's short kick is effective, finds Schwab. Schwab with space. Onto the right, then the left, then decides the handball over the top to Platten, who must cover acres and acres of this ground. Kick up towards full forward. Kennedy has the football, can be penalised. Still the umpire doesn't blow the whistle. Rick Kennedy still has it underneath him. Troy Maloney and Stephen Wallace, and they give each other a word of encouragement. The defenders working overtime for the Bulldogs.
So Deer and Wine, Paul Deer, Platten looked for a free kick and not there. Pritchard with a little one, Allen off the ground, only as far as Baxter. Condon too tall for Cullen. Cullen didn't compete very well. There's just no pressure there. Condon, Brereton the target, takes off early. Atkins, Reynolds traps it brilliantly. Jarman, who might have run out of puff a bit in this quarter, just a little one to Jenke. And he's within kicking distance, and they want one. They haven't kicked a goal in this quarter. Less than 6 minutes remaining. The Hawks have kicked 3 points to 2-2. Beautiful night for football.
2 metres. No closer.
17 degrees, Michael Roberts told us at the beginning of the evening. Not much of a breeze. Jenke's drop punt hits the post. So the Hawks without luck, 6-9-5-4. Atkins has been a big winner for Footscray in the centre in this quarter.
Also the Mansfield on the other wing too, Bruce. He's quietened Pritchard down.
Atkins 7 kicks and 4 hand passes. This is Baxter taking the ball away for Footscray. Kick towards centre wing. Charles really should have got that. Now Georgiadis, who is a very talented player, and kicks it beautifully when he's able to get onto that left foot. The handball went to Baxter. Can Footscray get out of this? It may have been a slight mess-up in the centre, and it's critical when you make a mistake around the centre of the ground. And on this occasion, a free kick has been picked out. It'll go to Jarman. Jarman, look at this long kick. Centre-half forward. Big punch by Gow. Reynolds kick off the ground. Percentage football. Goes wide, close to the line. And it's bundled over for a throw-in between wing and half-forward, favouring the Hawks. They've made a change. McGuinness has come on. And the Hawthorn player limping off, it may be Mew, is it?
Yes, Chris Mew limping rather badly there too.
Paul Deer doing the ruck work at the back. Atkins gets it out to Royal. Royal's left foot kick back in towards the centre. Marking contest. Charles, the ball comes to Jarman. Jarman's kick across his body. Gee, does that cover some meterage? Brereton's beaten for it by Gow. Morrissey flip on. Brereton use of body, brilliant. Brereton free kick against Gow.
Was that a flying tackle there from Gow?
Hurt his back.
Yes, Dermot had a lot of back problems in the last couple of seasons, and he looks to be in a lot of trouble.
And when the tackle came in, Bernie, with the rip around the neck, it certainly would have put enormous pressure on.
A rip around the neck, Robbo, was it?
Well, it certainly was. I mean, it was...
I just thought it was a flying tackle. I don't think it was a reportable incident.
No, I'm not saying that. But
okay, let's have a look at it. Here it is again.
The pressure that goes on Brereton's back.
I think the free kick was already there. Oh, gee.
Left hand.
He saw the tackle coming, tried to duck under it, and Paul Gow just caught him around the neck and really put a lot of pressure, twisting that back around.
Well, he's one of the toughest men in the caper, Dermot Brereton.
So I don't think he'll be too happy about that tackle.
No, it could be interesting, the second half of this match. Especially if Paul Gow lines up on Dermot Brereton at centre-half back. Well, Dermot has the free kick. He's only about 15 or 20 metres out on a slight angle. He should capitalise, and he pops it straight through the centre.
Brereton with his first. He's kicked 1-3. It's 51-34. Lawrence caught. Hudson. We've got most of their interchange on now. Hawthorn, in fact, the whole 4 of them. McGuinness, who replaced Mew, who was injured. Mansfield, still not out. Yes, it is now. Michael Roberts, what's the story with Chris Mew?
Yeah, very disappointed. Chris Mew limped up with a left Achilles problem. It could be a problem for Hawthorn.
Gee, that would be a worry. Condon. Schwab, Lawrence and Royal in pursuit. Royal Wind, who has lifted in the second quarter. Missed by Cullen, who's missed a couple. Be disappointed there.
Well,
That wasn't a hard mark, was it,
Is
Robbo?
that one of the reasons maybe that he misses out?
Well, he's good when the ball's on the ground. He's not all that sure about himself when the ball's in the air.
So Lawrence and Wine with the tap. He's won the rucks in the second quarter. Quick kick by Schwab, doesn't go very far. Good bounce for Mansfield. No free kick. Holding the ball.
Yeah, why wasn't that too high?
Oh, that's ridiculous, Bruce.
So Hudson.
Hudson has the free kick for Hawthorn, when really, in my opinion, it should have gone to the Bulldogs. But the Footscray side, fighting hard, just still make it clear. Wallace's kick wide towards centre wing. Georgiadis props and cops, and eventually collects the footy well. Handball over the top. Oh, handball quickly, you're gone. Kellett ducks and weaves and gets out of trouble brilliantly in the finish. Thought he was in strife, but he gets it up towards centre-half forward. Valentine. Out comes Langford. One of his rare touches. Ayres combining. McGuinness is caught with the footy. Gets the handball away to Pritchard. And the Hawks, with great teamwork, get the ball up towards half forward, but it's a kick over on the full against Pritchard. Morrissey had taken the mark, but the ball will go back to Stephen Wallace, who will kick from half back. Wallace's kick towards half forward, no mark taken. At the back was Lawrence, and he looked a little cumbersome trying to gather that football. It goes over for a boundary throw in just into Footscray's forward half. The Bulldogs 5-4, trailing Hawthorn 7-9. So Footscray have made up at least a goal in this second term with just a few minutes left. Charles, well, that looked a reasonable ruck contest.
I thought he did well to get in front there, Charles.
I thought so too, but there you
Yes,
go.
he's got the free kick, yeah.
So we'll stay here and do the commentary. The umpires can stay down there and make the decisions.
Charles looks for Valentine. Langford uses the body. Collins, not a good handball by Langford. Collins was flat-footed. McGuinness caught by Collinuk. So's Condon caught by Collinuk. McGuinness, Hawthorn with strength. Pritchard, Collinuk, well done. Charles, they should set it up here. Baxter, he's got Whitney short. He'll kick it to him now and gets him.
That's fantastic pressure by the Footscray forwards, Collinuk especially.
Well, he put on 3 tackles himself.
So I reckon he could be a real superstar, Collinuk, one of these days.
Look at this kick by Whitney. It's a beauty.
1.5 minutes left in the second term. Lawrence is caught with the ball. Footscray will get clear again. It's Atkins up towards half forward. The race is on. Out comes McGuinness. Can he control it? No, he overruns it. Valentine tries to get it back to Charles. Charles a flip back towards centre half forward. Good interception, Maloney. He's got McGuinness. Ayres. Now Lawrence. Cooley, Kennedy. They still could be caught. No, they won't. They've got the numbers. Pritchard gets the handball. Oh, what slick work by Pritchard to Platten. Up towards half forward. Now Footscray have got a hold on. It's in Hawthorn's scoring zone. The kick by Schwab into the pocket. Out goes Allen, and in comes Rick Kennedy, and bang, down goes Allen. We'll have a boundary throw in. A robust Richard Kennedy.
Good to see one of those old-fashioned hip and shoulders too from Rick Kennedy.
Well, I think Ben Allen running the way he was a prime target, but he's a big man, big strong bloke, Rick Kennedy. Wine, Brereton picks up the crumb, snapshot for goal, and there's the pro at work. Dermot Brereton has kicked his second goal in the dying minutes of the second term, and Hawthorn sneak away, 8-9-57. They lead by 17 points. Footscray 6-4-40.
Well, he has been quiet this quarter, Dermot, but 2 goals have been very important to Hawthorn to keep them in front from an almost impossible angle. The ruckman contesting there, Dermot reading it beautifully off the pack and snapping a great goal off the right boot, wrong side of his body and all, but making no mistake.
He's only had 2 kicks in the term, and they've both been goals, so they've been pretty important. Lawrence went early against Wine. Pritchard off the ground. Footscray got to hang on here. They've done some good work for over 20 minutes. Throw against Hudson. Good decision. So 34 seconds remaining. It's 6-4 to 8-9. Reynolds, who had the job of minding Tony Hall and had the honour, I guess you could say, of having Hall taken off him and taken from the ground, now has Hudson. Wigney is the target. Goes early and takes a great mark. 20 seconds remaining. He's going to have to move it. Valentine on a lead. Langford early. Royal went to ground, he'll get a free kick.
Oh, he dived after the football.
Goes short, wants Atkins. Good mark, wonderful mark.
Great courage there, Bruce, wasn't it? Going back with the flight of the ball, Simon Atkins.
Well, it's 6-4 to 8-9, and this was courage personified. Kennedy coming in hard, Atkins not taking his eye off it. And the Royal kick was pinpoint accurate, but Atkins was always going to be under the hammer. Well, it's an important kick because Footscray's worked very hard to get within some sort of touch. Brereton kicks a mighty goal within 2 minutes of the siren, and Atkins with a chance to get it back. It's been an excellent first half. Very good standard for February 6. Atkins from 30 metres, high drop punt, straight drop punt, and a goal. So at half-time, the Bulldogs are 7-4 and Hawthorn 8-9. At 7-4-46, Footscray trailing Hawthorn 8-9-57 as we take a look at the Foster's Cup draw, and we see that this is a very strong top half of the draw. Essendon to play Carlton in the quarter-final. Hawthorn Footscray, the winner of tonight's match against the winner of the game on Sunday between Brisbane and Collingwood. So potentially we could have Essendon, Carlton, Hawthorn and Collingwood, but let's not count our chickens because Brisbane and Footscray are still in with a chance. That's Sunday from noon, first round match from the Gabba. It's Brisbane up against Collingwood. Should be a terrific match, and that's right around Australia on 7 Sport Eastern time, 12 o'clock. And then next Wednesday night, what a game this should be. The Adelaide Crows up against Geelong. It'll be a sellout for sure. Round 1, 8:30 Eastern time. Adelaide with that trial match win over Essendon, so they're going to be very, very hard to beat. So a big match there. Now the prize money, $327,000 up for grabs, and the winner of the grand final, $50,000 plus all that money along the way. So tremendous prizes here. And for that winning team, what a start it will be. Well, the Melbourne Tabaret Sportsbook is betting on the Foster's Cup at the moment. They have equal favourites, Collingwood and Hawthorn, at 3-1 as we check the odds of the teams. So it's 3-1 the Hawks and Collingwood, 6 is Essendon, Melbourne and Geelong, 8-1 North Melbourne and Carlton, 10-1 West Coast and St Kilda, Adelaide, Sydney, Footscray at 40-1. So they're not doing a bad job against Hawthorn, the favourites, Richmond and Brisbane. So Hawthorn 3-1 along with Collingwood. Footscray had a good second term. They kicked 4 goals. They're within touch. That goal of Atkins will give them a lift. Let's go down to their rooms with Don Scott.
Well, it's a very confident Hawthorn Footscray room down here. The players, as they came up the race, were talking to one another. Not the exuberance shown at quarter time. A lot of false bravado at quarter time. They were behind trying to encourage. But there was a lot of constructive talk amongst one another. Terry Wheeler going to his 2 half forwards, asking them to play up the ground. That's Cullen and Georgiadis, as he did with the 2 big fellows, Wigney and Justin Charles at quarter time. A confident Footscray room, no injuries to report.
Thanks for that, Don. Well, Scott Palmer had sensational news for us just after quarter time, and that's where we'll be going after this break. Scott Palmer and his punchlines.
Hi, I'm Andrew Jarman from the Adelaide Crows, and you're watching AFL on 7.
Half-time at Waverley, Hawthorn against Footscray, first round of the Foster's Cup. Well, Scotty Palmer really rocked us earlier when he said that Gary Ablett has retired from league football. Let's join Scotty Palmer and his punchline. Scott, you can't be fair dinkum.
Well, that's the word we got from Geelong tonight, and I've confirmed it with a couple of Geelong committeemen. They said first Pyramid, then the Ford problems, and now Gary Ablett. What a terrible period for Geelong to go through. Apparently the match committee met on Monday night and tried to talk him out of it. They went over everything, all his contract, all his lifestyle, and they just couldn't convince him to change his mind. Apparently his religion plays a big part in his life these days, and he just doesn't feel comfortable with the pressure. But a big announcement, I believe, is going to be made tomorrow. I tried to contact Ken Gannon, and he was not answering his phone tonight, but I've been talking to members of the committee, including Stuart Lord, and they assure me that a decision will be made tomorrow.
Well, Geelong fans will be in mourning, Scott. Tony Enterbury struggled on Friday night in the practice match for Essendon. Is his future at Bomberland?
Yes, they're about to part company, I believe. Tony has suggested all along since Christmas that perhaps he should go back to South Australia, and I believe he's over there now. Essendon have sort of coming to terms with it. It's probably that he will go back to North Adelaide, although I suppose the Crows would be interested in getting him if they could.
What about Paul Harding? Has he been spotted at Moorabbin yet?
No, the track watchers down there are a bit unhappy about it. They've been wondering where he is, but St Kilda assure me today that he'll be back for training this week. He's a usual late starter at Moorabbin, and he'll be lining up in St Kilda colours. But at this stage of the game, you can understand the Saints being a little bit concerned.
Will Mark Micken play for the Crows?
Yes, it's all been done. The Brisbane Bears have got their $15,000 promise from the Crows, and Mark Micken will be a player in the Adelaide colours.
Don't tell me they put a souvenir out, you reckon, because they want a trial
How
match?
is this for glorifying a team that wins a practice match? A first win souvenir. It's unbelievable what's going on over in Adelaide. When they play Geelong, though, they'll be the outsiders because Geelong are 6-4 on, 10-9 against the Crows. I'm going for Geelong.
Well, you've really knocked us out tonight with that punchline about Gary Ablett. Thanks, Scotty Palmer. Let's join Michael Roberts in the Hawthorn room.
A pretty quiet room down here in the Hawthorn camp. They've been taken behind closed doors. There wasn't much talk at all compared to, say, quarter time, because Footscray have thrown everything at them. They look a little tired. Ayres had a rub down. They looked at Dermot Brereton. He had his back stretched, and Chris Mew has an Achilles problem and had that really iced up. They have to convert out of the centre. Alan Joyce has them behind closed doors now, and I'd say that they'll really get a rev up for this third quarter.
Could be a tough second half for Hawthorn. We'll be back with the second half of this Foster's Cup match after this.
Both teams out there, Hawthorn and Footscray, for the start of the second half. Coming up on 7 Sport this weekend from the Mirage in Port Douglas, the Mirage Skins game. It's Norman, Baker Finch, Grady and Davis. Check your local guides for times there. And then the other golf, the big one, the Pyramid Australian Masters golf from Huntingdale, February 14 to 17. Again, just check your local guides for times there for the Pyramid Australian Masters. So big time golf coming up on 7, both of the Skins and the Masters over the next fortnight. Well, there's Hawthorn. They've got some injury worries, as Michael Roberts told us, with Chris Mew, Dermot Brereton a bit sore, Ayres getting a rub down at half-time. They started very well. Here's Footscray, who would have their back up at the moment and feel like they're in with a chance. As we take a look at Darren Jarman's performance in his first game with Hawthorn.
Well, what a terrific first quarter he put in, Bruce, kicking a magnificent goal. A little quiet in the second term, but very impressive so far in this first half.
Atkins, one of the Footscray players that really got them back into the game in that second quarter. 6 kicks and 5 handballs for that quarter, a total of 9 kicks and 5 hand passes, but his creative handball out of the centre and a magnificent mark under pressure to kick that goal at the end.
And Darren Pritchard, who has had 13 kicks so far, set it up for the Hawks. They were 21 points in front at quarter time, and Darren Pritchard was the player that really helped them put into that position.
And Keenan Reynolds for Footscray, 6 kicks and 3 handballs, but more importantly, he's kept Tony Hall out of the game and had him taken from the ground.
So third quarter about to start here at Waverley, where Hawthorn lead by 11 points. They're 8-9, Footscray are 7-4, and as we've always said, the third quarter is a very important one. Condon can't quite get his foot to the ball. Stanfield, strong. Jarman there, so is Paul Deere. A real struggle. Atkins gets his foot to the ball and kicks it clear. Now McGuinness is under pressure, kicks it off the ground, gives it an opportunity now for Pritchard. Good pressure by Kellett. Taps it to the advantage of McGuinness, close to the boundary line, and Scott McGuinness allows the ball to go over for a boundary throw in on centre wing. Scott McGuinness, who started the game on the interchange bench, came on in the at the end of the first quarter. Lawrence over the top, Charles. Ayres just allows the ball to trickle over, so we'll have another boundary throw in.
I thought Justin Charles in that second quarter did a great job too for Footscray when he was moved to centre half forward. Contested every issue, not afraid to put his body in front and go for the big mark.
And he's pushed off the ball there by Lawrence. Lawrence taps it to the advantage of Pritchard. Pritchard's kick finishes with Morrissey. Morrissey's short pass is too short. Oh, Stanfield could have swallowed it. Centre half forward for Hawthorn. Kennedy can't get the ball clear. Stanfield back in there. was good stuff by the Footscray player after missing the mark, and he holds it in. Umpire calls for a bounce.
Yeah, if you're going to fall over at centre-half back, you've got to take the mark. Wine. Deer. Reynolds. Good defender in that first term. Ayres in front of Georgiadis, who was very useful himself in the first half, Georgiadis. Here's Ayres from centre wing. Brereton the target. Excellent mark in between Wine and also Gow. It's been a promising start to the season by Brereton. Dunstall with a short, sharp lead. Paul Deer wants it in the goal square. 50 metres. Oh, little one to Condon.
Yes, that was Baxter's man, and not expecting Dermott to go so short. Darren Baxter was heading down towards the goal square.
He's kicked one already, Condon. Drop punt. Nice looking kick, and he's got it.
Hawthorn 9-9, Footscray 7-4. Condon gets the ball out of the centre for the Hawks. Up towards half forward, good punch away by Reynolds. Morrissey, handball over the top, just slightly smothered. Ben Allen tries to ride the bump and then tries to get the ball clear, unsuccessfully. Paul Deer pulled off the football. Atkins taps it clear. Georgiadis overruns it. Now Greg Deer back to Jarman. Let's see what he does with this left foot. It's a high kick. It covers 45. Out towards half forward, flank deep. Colin bounces away. Short pass is okay, and Georgiadis marks at half back for the Bulldogs. Swings around onto that left foot and kicks it effectively back in towards the centre. Punched away by Lawrence. Atkins is there to pick up the crumbs. The hand pass was smothered. Maloney. Charles is under pressure. In there, Kellett. Ayres gets it out. Not effectively. Still. Now it's effective. Platten leaves it. Some scrambly football at centre-half forward for Hawthorn, but Baxter tidies up for Footscray and kicks it back to half forward. Langford a little tentative. Back goes McGuinness to help out. Jenke onto the left foot, and Jenke will clear for Hawthorn wide and handsomely to Ayres on the chest.
Seventh kick for Ayres. Over the top. Greg Deer to Paul Deer. Good stretch, couldn't take it. Wallace, lovely handball. Colin who's played very short all night. Baxter didn't really have time to look. Darren Jarman, one hand against Charles. Good handball by Kellett to Atkins, who's won the centre against Jarman since quarter time. Ballantyne on a long lead free kick against Langford in the back. The right decision. Gave him the little nudge. David Parkin, whose Blues won by a cricket score on Sunday against Fitzroy. They've got to play Essendon in the quarter-final. Ballantyne to Wigney. Jenke does the mopping up. Kicks it down Ayres' throat. That's good footy. Ayres from half-back to set to Morrissey. Couldn't take it. Paul Deer runs into him. Gets round onto that left leg. Brereton, who's really given Gow the run around tonight. Morrissey.
Well, this is where the experience comes in, isn't it, Robbo, with Brereton not wasting any time, looking quickly to move the ball on, and Morrissey making position, running down the ground, getting away from his opponent and taking an easy chest mark.
And twice Dermott Brereton being unselfish, knowing that he's well outside goal scoring distance.
Morrissey's drop punt across the face. Dunstall gave a little shove and a free kick against him. Funny player, Morrissey. He would have been fives on the run there, wouldn't he? But from the stand, not such a good thing.
He does kick some freakish goals, Bruce. You're right there. And that was a poor kick in the finish. Georgiadis marks that short kick. He's between the back pocket and half-back flank for Footscray. That's a nice long drop punt kick towards centre wing. No mark taken. And taken over in the finish by Maloney. Johnny Platten there for Hawthorn. So good pressure all over the ground by both sides. They've put on a pretty good performance here for their first up showing in the Foster's Cup. Scott Wine. Maloney can't get past Condon, and the umpire, a bit of scrambly football there, so the umpire calls for a bounce. Game has been played in good spirit. Both teams going pretty hard at the football, testing one another out. This bounce will take place be about half forward for the Hawks. Standing his ground, Colin slips the hand pass back to Baxter. Baxter's kick from basically a standing start. Footscray a chance if they can gather it. Royal, his hand pass was ineffective. Collins comes away for the Hawks. Up towards half-forward. Good play, Gow in the finish. Kellett, now Gow collects it and does it pretty well. Wallace, under pressure, Gow, maybe the wrong option. Goes after it again. Collins for Hawthorn. Little left foot chip. And Gow, well, he was a bit stiff there.
Well, maybe just inexperience creeping into that play there by Gow. He did all the hard work. A good spoil. But then the better option would have been for him to kick the ball because Steve Wallace was under enormous pressure.
Brereton from 45 metres. Towering drop punt. Plenty of distance, but to the behind. So 2-4 to Brereton. Kicked 3 points in the first quarter, then 2 kicks for 2 goals in the second quarter. And 9-10 to 7-4. But Bernie, if Footscray can just hang on here for the next 5 minutes, you get the feeling they might be able to turn it around again. Because Hawthorn right on top, but they're not getting right away on the scoreboard. Wine, it's an important 5 minutes. Baxter, a high ball. Pritchard and Kellett. And it'll be a throw-in.
The only thing I worry about, Bruce, with Hawthorn, they just need a couple of half chances and they make the most of them.
Oh, they're a great team. There's no denying that.
Well, that's the skill of the players that they've got all over the field. You know, from the back line where Gary Ayres is a pinpoint deliverer of the football with Jenke, to this player, Platten, who uses the footy so magnificently. This kick towards centre-half forward, and it's a Hawthorn mark to Dermot Brereton.
No doubt about Brereton. He puts his body in front. A great player at centre-half forward for Hawthorn.
Well, the replay indicating that maybe he didn't hold that long enough, I thought. Umpire being a little generous.
There's Cullen off the ground and Bloom having his first taste of senior football.
So Brereton well within scoring distance. This shot is a little easier than the last one he had. He kicks it high, long and unhandsomely. Misses to the left. So Brereton's scoreline is 2-5. And Gow, for a defender, is allowing his opponent too many shots at goal. Rick Kennedy now to kick the ball back into play, electing to go to the outer side. Footscray with not the same method that the Hawks have got from kicking in. Schwab pulled off the football. Maloney, desperate stuff and good strength by Troy Maloney to get the Bulldogs out of trouble. He's kicked towards half forward. A good mark taken by Wigney, who's had to move a fair way up the ground from centre half forward to take that mark. He now elects to go straight across the field. And the mark is taken by Ballantyne. Handballs it away to Bloom. Backs himself. Ball won't come to him. Still in the pocket. He's got it. Handball back. No, it's out of bounds. The youngster going over the boundary line as Hawthorn swing another change. Tony Hall is back on the ground at the expense of John Kennedy, it looks like. They'll have a boundary throw in the right forward pocket for Footscray.
Also Paul Gow having a rest. Leon Cameron coming back on the ground.
Free kick to Darren Jarman. So who's picking up Brereton?
Looks like Keenan Reynolds has now got the job on Dermot, so a tough task, but he's played a great game tonight, Reynolds.
Schwab, left foot. Allen, good take. Had a very good first term. Puts Pritchard under the hammer. It just floats into his arms. One of the big winners tonight. Hall has just come on. Play on call. Gee whiz. Don't know why.
He kept running around his mark. No, I think that was fair. He didn't go back straight.
Okay, Langford. Don't really agree. Centre half forward. Colin. Good touch. Baxter's 15th kick. Bloom, who showed a bit of confidence a minute ago, didn't he?
Yes. Good to see from a young player, Bruce. And a left footer too. Tidy. Put Baxter under a little bit of pressure, but he took the mark in front of Schwab. Didn't advance the footy all that much, but Baxter does now with a 50-metre kick up towards half forward. And a good mark. Gee whiz, Bernie's taken 3 really difficult ones and dropped 3. Well, a little bit easier, I'd suggest. Punch away by the Hawthorn defence. Goes back towards the centre. Jenke. Handball out. Jarman. Clever. Pritchard, who never stops running. Great player, Darren Pritchard. This kick lets himself down. Colin combines with Wallace and Mansfield, and the Bulldogs could get out of trouble. No. Lawrence taps it back. Colin strong. Gutsy little player, Wine to Atkins. Can Footscray make something of this? Atkins sloppy kick. Georgiadis can't mark. Gets the handball back to Atkins. Now do something a little bit more effectively, Simon. He does. Up towards half forward. Nearly the mark taken by Ballantyne. Royal gives it away unselfishly to Georgiadis, and he in turn finds Wigney deep in the pocket, 50 metres from goal. Wigney goes long. Oh, the player slips. Ballantyne. Jinky nearly marks. Ballantyne's got it back. He's pulled off the ball and didn't have it. Hawthorn will get the ball cleared through Condon in the back pocket. He runs around his opponent, gets onto his preferred right foot and kicks it long back into the centre. And nearly a Hawthorn mark back there to Hall, but irrepressible Footscray. Push it forward through Atkins, up towards full forward, punched away once again. Bulldogs still a chance, 3-1. Lawrence goes out the back door. Charles can't get it clear. Langford does, but still Footscray are a chance. Wine, what can he do with the footy? Tries to get it clear. Now a chance for Baxter. Onto the right foot, Baxter kicks it back. High, drop punt, Footscray mark, and surely they'll score with Brian Royal marking only 20 metres out.
He was nearly off too, Robbo. He had a quick step forward, was nearly running into that goal square. He thought he had a bit of time there, Brian Royal.
I don't know. He's an experienced campaigner.
He is. He's been around a long time, but just have a look here. What's he do? No, he just had a quick look, weighed up his options.
I think you can see the brown and gold coming quickly, Bertie. Now, Brian Royal, well, stats show that he's played a fair game tonight, but this will be an important kick for goal. He shoots, and he puts it through for a behind. Well, a disappointing result.
It is, and that's Footscray's first score for the third quarter. So Hawthorn have been in charge right throughout this quarter.
Schwab from Langford. They've been in charge, Bernie, but they've only kicked 1 goal, 2. So they really haven't put it on the scoreboard. Kellett. Bloom. It's a bit like Colin the way he plays. Charles.
And a haircut.
Yeah, similar. Goal here would make it interesting. High one. Ballantyne, well done. Almost pulled it off. Maloney, Cameron, one of his few touches. Gee, they've given this away. Georgiadis have gone from centre half forward to the forward pocket. Cameron, who looks to lack confidence at the moment. Still, Cameron, how far's he run? Too far.
Oh, they messed that up. They messed that up, didn't they?
Now, this boy doesn't look fit, Bernie. He was a terrific player last year, Leon Cameron, wasn't he?
What do you mean, fit?
Well, I think he looks very lethargic to me.
I think he, well, you know, second-year blues, maybe, Robbo, but he's got plenty of ability. Maybe still a little bit lightly framed.
So, Paul Deere, Brerett's on the target, as he's been in this third quarter. Nice work by Colin against Allen. Hall, good take, and Pritchard. Sweeping handball, but Footscray able to hang on. Condon. Just hope there. Wine, Atkins, who's won the centre after quarter time. Nice little touch to Charles in the centre.
Charles looking to break the tackle. A long kick wide, and it's pretty good. Kellett has made good position. Who's he got to give it to? There's a player wide. He spotted him. Maybe the hand pass, but he went for the little short kick. Steve Wallace, long kick into the goal square and broken down by a well-judged mark to the acting captain for Hawthorn tonight, Gary Ayres. He kicks it wide into the opposite back pocket where Platten has made good position, and Platten's kick is effective. Hits Jenke on the chest, had half back. So a promising forward move by Footscray, broken down. Jenke's kick, good mark, Pritchard. A great mark by the very clever Hawthorn wingman. His short kick finds Deere. That's Greg Deere. A long drop punt kick. Brerett can't mark. Reynolds, good pressure. Footscray in trouble. Colin Tony Hall taps it to the advantage of Brerett. He tries to get it wide. Paul Deere takes it off. Dunstall shoots for goal and misses. Paul Deere has kicked 2 behinds. Hawthorn 9-12, Footscray 7-5. Bulldogs need a goal badly.
Kennedy, very short. Cameron, who just needs something to get his confidence up. Just hasn't been able to get his hand on the footy, and when he does, he's been disappointing. Morrissey, no free kick. So little scoring done here. 9 goals in the first quarter, 6 in the second, and just 1 in this third term, and we've got just under 6 minutes remaining. Atkins. Nothing much happening. Morrissey off the ground, advances it by about 15 metres. So we see the scoreboard 66-47. James Morrissey, who's kicked the goal. Crowd about 7,000 or 8,000. And Hawthorn deep in attack.
So Wind. Greg Deere gets the tap out the back, looking for Condon. Atkins chips in. Tony Hall striving hard. He's held according to the umpire, and he wasn't in a bad position to make that decision, the central umpire there on that occasion. So Tony Hall receives the free kick just inside 50 metres. He'll kick from right on the line. He tries the torpedo punt kick. It comes off into the square. Dunstall. Is this a goal? No, he misses to the left. Gee, that would have been a freakish goal. But Dunstall, 1 goal, 4. His tally for the evening. Dermot Brereton, 2 goals, 5. And Bruce, not a bad crowd.
Yeah, 13,196. I'm a good judge, aren't I? What did I say, 7,000 or 8,000?
Never mind, they all came in after you said that, Bruce.
The last minute. Half-back, Kellett.
Look out, Darren, knock it out!
Hear those microphones on the umpires asking them to knock it out. Advantage paid. Jim Van Beek and John Harvey, the 2 umpires tonight. Over the top of McGuinness and Wigney. Hip and shoulder by Maloney was good, and McGuinness rode it well. Wigney did very well to smother the handball. Missed by Lawrence. Maloney has got to get a free kick against Swab. No advantage. Wigney come back.
Actually, Schwabby giving the kick away was probably...
Well, I think it was a professional free kick, wasn't it, by Schwab? Maloney with the run of the ball, tapped it on. Had he been able to get around and control that ball, it was a certain goal. And a good passage of play anyway by Maloney. Tackling, chasing, smothering, backing up.
It's 45 metres out. He'll kick from the 50-metre line.
Thanks, Ray.
Good kick. Right to the square. And off hands. 7-6 to 9-13.
Danny Delray's been brought on to replace John Ballantyne. There's Tony Liberatore, last year's Brownlow medalist, sitting next to Doug Hawkins.
Gary Ayres to kick the ball back into play. I'd suggest, Bernie, that 12 months ago Doug Hawkins would have been right in the middle of the picture and Tony Liberatore would have been in the sidelines.
Exactly.
Amazing what 12 months will do in footy. The Brownlow medalist from 1990. Darren Pritchard, always running. Kicks it towards centre-half forward. Brereton the target, and this time Reynolds, umpire again in a great position, indicating that Reynolds was holding on. So the youngster, it'll be a good lesson for him, playing on such a great player as Brereton. And what a mark by the full forward. Great hands, Jason Dunstall.
He doesn't need much of a break, does he, Dunstall? He only needs that metre or so. Perfect pass there by Dermot. There he is, only a metre in front, but such strong hands. A good leap, times it precisely there, and with his strong hands, hardly ever drops those.
Hasn't had many chances. He doesn't really need many, because he puts it...
25-point margin. Big break now for Hawthorn in a low-scoring game. Del Rey throws it away. Morrissey. Ball wouldn't sit for him. Deere off the ground cleverly. Condon, left foot, good kick, and he's kicked his third. So a mistake there by Footscray, and Hawthorn swoop on it, and they go to 79 to 48.
All of a sudden, Bruce, it doesn't look all that good for Footscray. Hawthorn, a very professional side, as I said before. They only need a couple of half chances. There's Steve Wallace going to ground, leaving the door open for Condon to kick his third. Very good kick on the left boot, but all of a sudden they've opened up a bit of a margin here on Footscray.
You just can't fall over in the back line if you're not going to get the footy.
I think it's important all over the ground, Bruce, that you have to stay on your feet, and particularly, like, as the years go on, the pace quickens up and the skill is enormous. One player on the ground and you're gone.
So Morrissey to centre-half forward.
Morrissey gets it down there in towards goal-scoring distance. Again, Dunstall tries to get it to Condon. Can he get his fourth? Unselfishly handballs to Hall, who in turn to Brereton, and he kicks it. So Bulldogs looking down the barrel now with 2 minutes left in this third quarter. Strong play by Lawrence. Kellett can't get the footy out. Look, 3 Hawthorn players do the tackling. Ball comes out. Stanfield, kick wide. Greg Deere chasing. Hasn't got much space. Del Rey, desperate. In there to help out was brother Paul. Gets it to Ben Allen, who's played a fair game. And Allen's kick towards half forward. Hawthorn mark to Hall. No wasting time. Here's Condon's fourth. Drop punt kick is close, but he's missed. So he's only kicked 3. 3 goals, 1 to Anthony Condon in a ruck roving role with and Jarman, of course. That's Darren Jarman. I was going to call him Andrew, but Darren Jarman playing in the centre. Brereton nearly marked the kick in. Condon picks up the crumbs, unselfishly back to Platten, and he looks all the time to the centre of the goals. Morrissey off the ground. Oh, what were you talking about before, Bruce? He misses the easy ones and nearly gets the freakish ones. Just missing to the left. 12-15, 7-6.
10 shots to 2 in the third term. It tells the tale. And this is the Hawthorn ability to be able to get a run on. And they've done it in the last 5 minutes where they've just dominated. They really play inspired footy for short patches. Well, Hall with Brereton right over the top of him. Jenke. Cameron off the ground. He'll hope it goes out, and it might just. It does. So the Footscray challenge, it was very brave in the second quarter and the early part of the third quarter. It looks well and truly done. At 12-15 to 7-6. Lawrence on left and Wind, 2 of the young big men in the game. Tapped on by Paul Deere, who's got better as the game's gone on. Mansfield, still no free kick. Royal, confidence there, but caught. Hall, who's come on and got some touches. Allen off one leg to the goal square. Dunstall. Well, Bernie, he's almost impossible to beat in that situation.
Well, he is one out. Rick Kennedy's very strong in the upper body, but I think he's matched here tonight with Jason Dunstall. Brian Royal taking a great chance there, bouncing it across that half-back line, especially in these slippery conditions. It wasn't very good defensive play.
So Dunstall has kicked 2 goals for. Walks in and gets it. Well, it was a goal, probably not as straight as he wanted to kick it. 13-15 to 7-6, and suddenly that scoreboard's lopsided.
Yes, they're looking very good now, Hawthorn. Bruce, as you said earlier, they have the ability to get a run on. Got tremendous running players in their side. If they get the ball moving quickly out of the centre, which they're doing now, have the forwards there, Dunstall, Brereton and Paul Deere, who are capable of kicking a big bag of goals.
So young Wind back in the ruck. The siren not far away to end this third quarter. Colin under pressure. And the kick has been marked by Collins just on the defensive side of centre-half back. He kicks it wide. Pritchard will get another possession. He played a fantastic game, Darren Pritchard. He just gets his kick in. Siren sounds. It's three-quarter time at Waverley. Foster's Cup, first game here at Waverley. Hawthorn 13-15-93, Footscray 7-6-48.
15 to 7-6, 93 to 48. Australian Touring Car Championship, first round Sandown. They're back at Sandown, the Touring Cars, February the 24th. Check your local guides on 7. Michael Robertson, Don Scott on the boundary line.
Down in the Hawthorn camp, we just learnt that Chris Mew's going to be 6 to 8 weeks with a partially torn Achilles heel, which is bad news for Hawthorn, but relentless running, get it out of the centre, don't give up. He was short to the point. Alan Joyce just continued to the bell.
Well, it's a very different Footscray camp to the quarter time and half time. Players not as enthusiastic. Terry Wheeler constructive and quiet in his talk to the players. 1 or 2 positional changes, maybe Kullenok out of the back line onto the forward line for Footscray.
Don Scott and Michael Roberts reporting from the boundary as we commence the final term. The Hawks charged away in the third quarter, 93 to 48. They're kicking to the left. Off the ground by Condon, who's been a very good player. Jarman. Dunstall. Well, they know the spaces. And Jarman looked up, could see a vacant lot.
Yeah, it's too easy there, really, for Hawthorn. But winning the ball out of the middle makes all the difference.
Dunstall with 3 goals for. Familiar kicking style, and he's hit the post. Just like Jinky did earlier on in the game. So he's kicked 3-5, and so has Brereton. Between them, the kick 6-10, the 2 gun forwards. Terry Wheeler just taking a look at his team lineup as Reynolds to kick it in.
See, the Hawks haven't lost much with the former number 11 retiring, Gary Buckenara, replaced with a guy like Darren Jarman, who kicks the ball well. And I'm sure Jason Dunstall would look up with delight when that player kicks the ball into the forward line. That kick-in has been forced. Well, it hasn't, actually. The central umpire has decided on a bounce just inside the boundary line, about 50 to 60 metres away from the Hawthorn goal. Here's Condon trying to kick the ball back to within goal-scoring distance. A mark, yes, Jarman, quickly, kick smothered, got it again. That was nearly a throw. Kick by Lawrence. Platten can't mark, can't control it. Colin back, gets the handball away to Atkins. Just fumbled at a critical stage. Colin under pressure from Ayres, still under pressure from Ayres. Colin can't get it out. And is the umpire going to bounce? He is, giving Stephen Colin the benefit of the doubt there. On a few occasions, you often see umpires come in and give the free kick against the player with the ball underneath.
It was just forced out of his grasp there. I think he was a little bit lucky.
Bounce close to the boundary line. It's Deer and Wine, and it's forced over for a boundary throw-in on the 50-metre line. So Hawthorn into attack in the early part of this last quarter. They've kicked it behind through Jason Dunstall, hitting the post. Colin can't get clear. Look, he's got 4 players to contend with. Good smother by Mansfield. Ayres still there. Look at Pritchard. Never stops running. Handball. Gather by Hall. Can't break the tackle. Gets the kick away. No mark taken. Irrepressible stuff by Allen. Greg Deer. Jarman. He could be caught. No, he doesn't. He feeds it out. Well, rugby style. Up over the top of Brereton was young Reynolds, and in doing so has interfered with the Hawthorn centre-half forward, and Brereton takes the free kick only 30 metres out on a slight angle.
Well, the umpire indicating here that Reynolds had pushed Dermot Brereton in the back, but didn't appear to be a great deal in it.
So Brereton, who has kicked 3, could make it 4, and does make it 4.
100 to 48. So the Hawks more than double the Bulldogs score after a real contest at half-time. Lawrence, Atkins caught. Ayres and Georgiadis. Now Colin run down by Allen, who's done pretty well. Handball missing the body. McGuinness still in play. Allen. Royal. Wigney caught. Play on called. Royal with McGuinness, and eventually out of bounds.
You know what, there was no way known that Wigney was going to get through there. Ben Allen's tackle was terrific.
Divya Domenico and John Kennedy looking on. Between them about 500 games. Off the ground by Ayres, missed by Atkins. Quick kick by Keller, didn't go very far. A lot of these names we haven't called for a while. Now Baxter, who's had a lot of kicks. Just a short one to Royal. Well, he had to wait, but safe enough.
Yes, he's tried very hard, Brian Royal, but really hasn't had a lot of opportunities. Andy Collins always gives 100%. Best and fairest for Hawthorn last year. Standing the mark. And Brian Royal, he really needs to kick this one.
Well, he missed a pretty important one about 20 minutes ago when there was a couple of goals of difference. Now there's more than 8 goals in it. Drop punt, and that's better. That's a goal. So Royals first, he kicked 1-2, and that's the first for Footscray since Atkins kicked one on the siren in the second quarter.
Let's have a look at that mark. It was a little bit risky. Andy Collins made up a lot of ground to try to put on that spoil on Brian Royal, and a much better kick for goal than the one he had in that third quarter.
So Footscray, a long time between drinks. Scott Wind and Greg Deere again. Wind gets the tap out. Not very effective. Baxter can't get away from the Paul Deere tackle, so the umpire will call for another bounce. Only a few metres away from the centre circle. Footscray fans have come out here enthusiastic with their side, but a lot of youngsters in the team, so their first half was encouraging. Platten, Hawthorn, meaning business. Pritchard, full forward, Maven bounce through. It just misses to the left. Darren Pritchard, 21 kicks, 7 hand passes and 2 goals in a best on-ground performance, in my opinion. Set it up early in the first quarter and has kept running all night. Reynolds, big job, picking up Dermot Brereton, kicks it in towards half-back. Paul Deere over the top, Platten, unselfish, Pritchard again, short pass, brilliant, Brereton. Predictable stuff by the Hawks. And very unselfish play by Johnny Platten.
Playing as a second full forward, Dermot Brereton. I did this a lot last year and it worked very effectively.
Brereton shot for goal. He may have just hooked that a little too much, he has. So he'll go to the classroom to practice goal kicking, I would suggest. Goal shooting on, well, tomorrow night and maybe Friday night. Rick Kennedy kicks the ball back into half-back flank on that outer side. Jenke can't mark. Platten kicks it forward. Condon trying the con. Platten goes to Paul Deere, who balks beautifully, then shoots with the left foot. And if you don't mind...
108 to 54, exactly double the score. 15-18 to 8-6. Wind and Greg Deere. Jenke, Lawrence, so they're playing their 2 big men, Alan Joyce, Deere and Lawrence around the centre. Paul Deere, who just kicked a very good goal. Brereton in the front spot, he's kicked 4 goals, 6 tonight. Schwab from 50 metres to Dunstall. Well, it's all happening, isn't it? We've seen this for a lot of years. So sure with the hands and with the feet. And Maloney and Brereton, Dermy with a big smile. The sting has gone out of the game.
I've seen happier men at picnics, haven't I?
Well,
or have I?
Pretty happy, I think. And here's Dunstall to kick his 4th. To catch Brereton. Has he done it? Nope. So Brereton's kicked 4-6. And what's Dunstall? 3-6?
Exactly. Yep.
3-6 Dunstall.
And Brereton 4-6.
Very poor result for the amount of times they've got the ball tonight, both these key forwards.
Well, they've had 19 shots for goal between them, Bernie, and Footscray's had 14 shots for goal.
19 shots resulting in 7 goals. So I don't think Alan Joyce would be very happy with the conversion rate.
So Reynolds goes wide. Looks towards Kennedy. Darren Jarman just gives him a shove in the back, not paid. And he's about to have his 18th kick.
Gee, that was terrific stuff there by Jarman. Up towards full forward. Oh, you could have hurt yourself then, Jason Dunstall. But he's okay by the look of it, getting up a little gingerly. Free kick paid to Footscray in the full-back area. Royal comes away. No one to kick it to, so he's forced to kick high. On the other hand, the Hawks have got the numbers. They've always got someone a short pass to. Allen forced to kick long. Up towards full forward. Good mark taken by Reynolds. And he's been a very good defender for Footscray, trying hard all night. Gets it wide to Cameron. Cameron at half-back. Loping away. Left foot kick by that player. Wide out in front of Wigney. Can't gather the ball. And the ball handling of Footscray a little ragged now with the pressure that's been applied. There's Dunstall. He did hurt himself, limping. And McGuinness takes the free kick, defensive side of centre wing. The kick back towards half forward. No mark taken. Paul Deere having his share of the football now in the dying stages of the game. Gets the handball to Jenke. Up towards Brereton. He goes for a shot for goal. He hooks it across his body. Dunstall can't do anything with it. And it trundles over for a behind. Well, Dermot enjoying his evening out here at Waverley, and so are the Hawthorn supporters. And the Bulldog fans have come a long way out here. But unfortunately for them, their side is going to go down to the Hawks.
Well, I think sorry, Robert. I think they will improve on anything they do tonight, Footscray. A lot of inexperience in the side. Leon Cameron having a very quiet night, only his third kick there.
Tries to find Wigney. Gets a free kick. He's one of their better players in the first half. Had a very good second quarter. To centre half forward. Charles at the back, Deer. Ayres, good tackle by Atkins. Here's Allen. Hall on a lead. Gets around Mansfield this time. Got plenty of time. Brereton the target at half forward. It's a lovely kick. Platten will run for him. Now Brereton to Platten. Jarman in the pocket. Will he go to him? No, he goes for the goal and he kicks a beauty. Platten right there. It was touched. And there's Jarman saying, well, I was running for you, John, but...
No, not too happy, I don't think, Jarman. Johnny Platten could have popped that one over the top.
Ex-Central District player, ex-North Adelaide player, but...
Not too much teamwork when they put the brown and gold on, Bruce. Is that what you say?
I think Platten normally gives it up, doesn't he?
He's a terrific little player, Johnny Platten, and we can't be critical of him. Hawthorn will go into attack again. Jenke over the top, Collins. Handball goes to Lawrence, and Lawrence is going to be a key player in this Hawthorn side this year, I feel. Looks a lot bigger and a lot stronger, and his kick finds Brereton 40 metres out directly in front. Maybe a little scrambly, that mark, by Brereton standards, but he's still got it safely in his keeping. He's kicked 4. Good stats.
He's had a big night, hasn't he, Dermot?
Crucial player for the Hawks. Long drop punt kick goes straight through the centre.
8 goals, 12 to 1-2 since half-time. 20 shots to 3. Allen. Well, I think they're about to improve on it, Hawthorn. Jarman. They said he just might need the run. Hunter. He has had 18 kicks and 7 handballs. Now Hunter again, he's just come on. Maloney, Wigney, took off early, tried to hold his ground. And Lawrence happy to just tap it over. De Domenico about to come back on.
Georgiadis off and Cullen on for Footscray.
Going to be a tough 20 to get into this Hawthorn team if they stay uninjured. They've got some depth. Pritchard, Condon. Ayres is off for De Domenico. Not a bad swap, that one. Charles, good mark. He's done some good things. As Ian Robertson said earlier, he's taken some tough marks and missed a couple that he probably would normally take. To centre wing, Cullen. At the back, Pritchard. The Big Dipper. And he gets a free kick. So De Domenico from centre wing.
He replaced Gary Ayres on the ground, and Bruce, when Gary Ayres came off, all he did was stand on the boundary line directing traffic, and they lead by about 10 goals. It's amazing stuff for Hawthorn. They're never ever satisfied, and that's why they're such a great club. The kick for Footscray goes towards the centre wing area where Del Ray takes the mark. He's got a player further afield, Cullen, and just not enough made of it. He looked to play on, and Pritchard, ever alert, minds the mark beautifully, so Cullen can't do much with it. The short pass is ineffective, and the ball is hurried over by Ballantyne and Langford for a boundary throw-in. Condon has been replaced, and the player coming on there, Bernie didn't quite catch it. Hudson, was it? 16-21 to 8-6 with 9 minutes left. The ball goes back towards centre wing. Cullen can't keep his footing. Del Ray tries to get the ball wide to Baxter. He's under pressure. No messing around by Deer. De Domenico nearly a chance there, but Colin picks it up. Short pass is okay, and it finds Cullen. He's only about 15 metres further afield. This kick is effective, though, and he finds Baxter at half forward. Still Hawthorn, they mind the mark so beautifully, don't they? There's no way in which Footscray can play on.
That's what they do so very well. They just hold up Footscray and they take it into the forward line slowly, and it really makes it so very easy for the Hawthorn defenders to cover their men.
There's the acting captain, Gary Ayres, alongside of him, Condon, who's played very well, and Schwab. It's a wonderful interchange bench, isn't it? If they're under pressure and they had to bring one of them on, number 7 might be the first man picked. But he's done his job. Atkins, clever, Just no penetration at the moment for Footscray. Getting their hands on the footy, but it's just not going anywhere.
No, nothing's happening, is it, Bruce? And that's all because of the pressure being applied by Hawthorn.
There's Georgiadis, who played a good first half tonight. Looked the most potent forward there for a while. Dip in Domenico. You can hear the microphones on the umpire saying, knock it out, knock it out. Hudson leaves it for Jenke. He's been busy. To Morrissey. Had so many good players. To Greg Deere. Didn't really look. Just went to half forward. And that is close to... No, not out of bounds on the full. I thought it might have come off Deere, but he was able to get his hand on it. There's Justin Charles. So it'll be a ball in at centre wing with the Hawks 16-21 to 8-6.
And the players perhaps looking a little tired, which is fair enough. Their first real hit out. Hudson caught there by Stanfield. The ball runs free. It's Paul Deere. Left foot kick in the Brereton direction. Picking up the crumbs as Hall. Intelligently and cleverly back to Brereton. Brereton into an open goal. And he misses badly to the right. And kicks it out of bounds on the full. In the opposite forward pocket, the free kick will go to Maloney for Footscray. So that was a bad kick by the Hawthorn centre-half forward. Maloney, nice kick, 45 metres plus, out towards half-back. Picked up by Atkins, just looks a little too casual. Kicks it back in towards the centre, Wigney. Oh, not enough talking there by Del Rey and Wigney. Hunter just gets his foot to the ball, kicks it up towards half-forward. And Hawthorn will get clear again. McGuinness and Kennedy combine. Platten, what's he going to do? Cleverly gets into clear. Left foot kick is effective and the mark is taken by Pritchard. And he's coming up for his 31st possession. Back to Platten, who goes for his 25th possession. And they are the prime movers for Hawthorn. Hudson in towards centre-half forward. The mark is taken by Dippy Domenico.
And he goes to Brereton and gets him. Just like a training on Tuesday night.
And it's all too easy for Hawthorn now. Dermot Brereton has played a top match. He really could have kicked a bag of goals.
Kicked 5, 6 and 1 out of bounds on the full. So he's had 12 direct shots. This is number 13. And that's a good, long, strong kick. And it's
on the ground. Dunstall has kicked 3. Anthony Condon has kicked 3. And for Footscray, well, it looks a bit sick. Stuart Wigney and Mark Cullen have kicked 2 each. Collinghute kicks it to Bloom. And Bloom is 50 metres from goal.
Thanks, Johnny.
Unusual looking hairstyle.
He's not a long kick either, Bloom, so taking far too much time.
Going for the pass, and he passes it to Cullen, who is absolutely surrounded by Hawthorn players. Pritchard comes clear and effectively gets it to Jenke. Jenke goes long. There's a player on his own out there. It's Hudson. Hudson now looking to play on. Cleverly with the left foot. Marcus taken by Allen. Unselfishly, hand passes back to Hudson. Hawthorn sharing it around beautifully in the middle of the field. And that kick is good. Marcus taken by Brereton. And that could nearly have been 50 metres.
It was very late, wasn't it, Robbo? Very
Brereton
late.
looking for the short pass. It's on. It's going wide. Dunstall too far. Kennedy, Dunstall, clever. Oh, snapshot. This is freakish. Has he kicked it? No, he's missed. And that certainly would have been the goal of the night if it had come off. Slipping the Kennedy tackle deep in that right forward pocket. And the screw kick nearly going through.
3-7 now to Dunstall, Robbo, too.
Reynolds, who's been besieged in the second half like a lot of his mates back there. Hall going to ground. Kellett. Royal giving it away. Kennedy tries to tap it on. Well done, Greg Deere. And this should be straight through, and it is. 18-22 to 8-6. And if any one bit of play is symbolic of what's happened here after half-time, that might have been it, because he had all day.
Yes, it's been a great performance by Hawthorn since half-time. It's only been one quarter that Footscray has been really competitive. But Greg Deere is there showing his mobility, picking up the ball like a rover and running in without any pressure to finish that off.
So Deere with his first, and Hawthorn just charging away here. 18-22 to 8-6. So they've got themselves into the quarter-final, all right. High kick to centre-half forward.
That was Greg Deere taking it away. He's quite a talented player for a big guy. Hunter under pressure. And it goes close to the line in front of Cullen. It goes over for a boundary throw-in. I was just going to say, Bernie, his skills are quite good, Greg Deere, for a big gangly, he must be 6'6" plus.
Easy. And yes, he picks up the ball and moves very well like a rover, like a small man. And he kicks the ball very well when he's got the opportunity also.
And some good pressure being applied by Stephen Lawrence, number 12, is going to help Hawthorn with their big man strength. And here's another opening maybe created for Johnny Platten. He couldn't quite control the football. Brereton should get a free kick, surely. Play on.
Back, wasn't it?
Well,
No
it looked like it there on the screen. Paul Deere, handball wide. Hall, talented, left foot, no. Left-hand hand pass. Platten misses with a snapshot from 30 metres.
That's his first score for the night, or did he kick a point earlier in the night?
I think he kicked it behind earlier, but, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Look at that scoreline. 18-23 to 8-6. And Rick Kennedy comes to this member's side. Brereton could nearly take the mark. No, it's punched away there by Royal, but Brereton keeps his footing pretty well. Handball's over the top to Allen, and he's played pretty well as a second stringer to Johnny Platten. The long kick to the full forward line. No mark. Jarman recovers well. Spins out of trouble. Clever. Right foot snap, and he puts it through.
19-23 to 8-6. Jarman with his second. And they've had some exciting moments tonight, and that was one of them. And boy, have they got a recruit in Darren Jarman. Colin caught. Platten, what a game he's played. 21 kicks, 7 handballs. Charges to Dunstall. No free kick. And it'll be a throw in the pocket.
Gee, that could have been nearly in the back too there. The umpire saying no, Jason. And I think Jason was appealing for that free kick.
And great exhibition there, Bertie. No argument. Straight back to the position. Get on with the game, huh?
Terrific to see him too without the helmet on. Made such a courageous comeback last year. Brereton is kicked 6. Played just a brilliant game. Colin Platten and Cullen, and out of bounds. So some terrific signs here for Hawthorn, with Brereton and Dunstall both getting a lot of the footy. Platten being a star, Jarman playing very well first up, and Pritchard, and the scoreboard's a beauty for them. 19-23 to 8-6.
Boundary throw in between wing and half forward. Up goes Deere. Platten gets another possession. Off to Hudson. Hudson outside 50. Tries to kick a long bomb to the goal square. Dunstall gets back. Kennedy with strength. And it goes through for a behind to the Hawks. So, as Bruce has already mentioned, they've done all the scoring since half-time. At half-time, Footscray was 7-4. So they've added 1-2. Hawthorn were 8-9. And they've gone on now to 19-24.
11-15, they've kicked them 1-2.
Unbelievable. Kennedy into the half-back area on the members' side. Hudson. Well, he played state football for Tasmania. He's not a bad player, and he's going to struggle to get a game in this Hawthorn side, I would suggest, with the numbers that they've got. And a nice little pass finds Brereton deep in the pocket. He's on his favoured side. And with 2.5 minutes left, the Hawks here could get their 20th goal.
It was his third opponent tonight too, Dermot. Matthew Mansfield is now picking him up.
He's kicked 6. He's also kicked 6 behinds and, 1 or 2 out of bounds on the full, Bruce? And this one is offline as well and through for a behind. So Brereton's personal tally is 6 goals, 7. And Rick Kennedy, you must have a sore neck watching the ball come shooting down and eventually going over your head. His kick in finds young Mansfield. Mansfield's kick is wide. Cameron should take the mark, and he does at half-back for the Bulldogs.
Just his 4th kick, 1 handball. It was on Pritchard early when Pritchard did the damage. Delray, good mark. Interchange bench for most of the first 3 quarters, Danny Delray. Pretty light on stats, but hasn't been on and hasn't had a lot of chances. Royal, Collins, just no focal point at the moment. Hudson, kick to the space. Jarman will sweat down on it. Hall, still with Hall. Maloney, they're pretty tired, these players. You can forgive them for that in the first match at February 6. First half was at a cracking pace. Hunter, short by Baxter, and taken there by Stanfield. Handball, Collinwood. He's had a lot of kicks, but as I mentioned earlier, he's played very short all night, and not a lot of percentage in that, and he'll get another free kick.
Well, a bit lucky to get away with that, Bruce. Fiddling around Footscray.
So Collinwood again. I reckon his average kicks win about 14 metres. Cameron, Kellett, I should say, to centre half forward. That's better. Ballantyne, some direction there, a bit of pace, a bit of attack. Now Kellett, short one to Royal, and just made it. But a lot of the footy to get the ball from half back to half forward.
And it's really slow motion stuff too, isn't it, Bruce? I mean, today's footy, you just can't play like Footscray have done in that last passage. You must move it quickly.
Royal, 45 metres out. It's a good kick, and might have just scraped through for a goal. It has. So in the dying seconds, against the tide, so to speak, Royal kicks his second, and it's 9-6 to 19-25.
Well, he's battled hard, Brian Royal. They've had a few good players. They all were good in that second quarter. But since half-time, he's been in the land of the missing. Brian Royal kicking his second goal. 2 goals, 2. They haven't had much drive out of the centre. The Rovers, Ruck Rovers, centre line has been completely beaten by this Hawthorn combination.
10 seconds remaining. Hawthorn have charged their way through to the quarter-final in the Foster's Cup. Kennedy to half forward. Morrissey, and the siren will sound. A big win for Hawthorn. 19-25, 139 to Footscray 9-6-60. Brereton with 6 goals, Dunstall 3 and Condon 3. And for Footscray, Royal, Wigney and Cullen 2 each.
Yes, well, they couldn't have been more impressive, could they, tonight, Hawthorn? Robert Di-Domenico didn't have to work too hard tonight, had a spell on the bench. Their forwards were fed all night. Dermot Brereton ending up with 6 goals, 7 and 1 out of bounds on the full, so that's an enormous night for him. And also Dunstall doing well.
19-25 Hawthorn, Footscray 9-6. They kicked 11-16 in the second half. Thrashed Footscray 9-6, 139 to 60 in this Foster's Cup first round. We look at the family tree, we see Hawthorn will play the winner of Brisbane and Collingwood in the top half, Carlton and Essendon also in that half of the draw. So Sunday from noon, it should be a tremendous match at the Gabba. It's Brisbane against Collingwood, Eastern time, 12 o'clock. And that really should be an excellent game. Wednesday, it's Adelaide against Geelong. It'll be a packed house there at Football Park, 8:30 Eastern time, and that too should be a beauty. Hope you've enjoyed it tonight. Hawthorn, big winners over Footscray. Brereton kicking 6. Good night from Waverley.